in Zen and in Chinese Buddhism generally, there are often statements that go something like, the triple world is mind only. And often we don't know what to do with statements like that. So I think we appreciate that the statement isn't saying that the external world is abracadabraed out of our individual brain or nonsense like that. But how do we understand it? I think the easiest way for us to understand it is to appreciate that the world doesn't come preformed. So whilst we might understand a camera, for instance, to be an image capturing device, someone from a different culture might see it as a soul capturing device. We might understand a window to be something which enables us to see the world, but someone else might think it's a miraculous mirror which just appears when it gets dark and you have light in your room. So we can understand that in terms of how we conceive the world, it's not preformed, it's culturally formed. So we see some things and not others, and this varies from culture to culture. And more generally, that it's species specific, so we will be seen differently from other creatures. And we can, using the traditional language, refer to that in terms of karma. We can also, I think, understand that we respond to particular things or occurrences in the world in terms of our individual karma. So the kind of feelings, associations, emotional responses that we'll have to things that appear to us will be to do with our personal karma, our history, our relationships and so on. So in that sense, we think we can get a sort of understanding of what's meant by the statement that the world is mind only. In other words, the statement isn't making some kind of ontological statement about the world. It's not philosophical idealism, but it's basically saying that as Buddhists and meditators, what we're interested in is the world insofar as it appears to us, and insofar as it appears to us, there's not a division between self and this karmic world of concepts and feelings. And that's helpful because it stops us going into a familiar error of mistaking Buddhist statements as being statements about the reality of or nature of the world, but it still doesn't really get to the essence of the statement. So to understand the statement that the triple world is mind only, I think we need to understand what's meant by mind. So in the, for example, in the Awakening of Faith in the Mahayana treatise, mind is explained as this pre-existing underlying unity to everything, prior to division into mind and body, self and world, self and other people, and so on. And the metaphor which is used is the metaphor of the wind and the ocean. This is a critically important metaphor. So, in terms of this metaphor, the ocean, in its intrinsic nature, is still and peaceful, quiescent, and that's mind. But when the wind blows, then waves are created on the surface of the ocean, and these waves, which we can think of as being splitting in some way, we can think of them in terms of thoughts or emotions, disturbances in us, and we can also think of them in a more general sense of each wave thinking that it's separate from the ocean and separate from the other waves. And in the metaphor, the wind is the wind of ignorance, and ignorance means the belief in a separate self. So that's the critical metaphor about mind. Faith is important in this metaphor, because if we believe this underlying essence of mind, symbolized by the ocean, then we can see a way of practice. So what we're taught by Western mindfulness schools is essentially not to bother challenging any of our assumptions about separation, but we're taught to allow our thoughts to come and go. And the implication of that is that the less intrusive our thoughts are, the better we are as meditators. But this metaphor opens up the possibility of regarding meditation in a completely different way. In a way, we welcome the waves, we welcome the individual disturbances of thought and emotion. And we do that because that creates the possibility of the wave, as it were, understanding its own depth, understanding that it's not separate from the vastness of the ocean, that it's not separate from the other waves. And that is a way of meditating which is grounded in faith, which is, I think, radically different from Western meditation, at least as normally conceived.